We've talked about endpoints and ACLs, but really I think in order to understand them, at least for me, you kind of need to see them. So I'm going to assume you might be similar, and let's take a look at endpoints and ACLs in action.
All right, I want to just do, again, a quick demonstration of endpoints and ACLs for version 1 ASM virtual machines. And so I'm in the classic portal. I have a virtual machine that I've created that is a V1 / service management model virtual machine. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop into the virtual machine. It's actually a pretty straightforward process. Now within this virtual machine, I can click on endpoints. And by the way, all of this can be done through the command line as well. It's just a little better visual demonstration here. All right, so right now I've got two virtual machines here, two endpoints. One is a PowerShell endpoint. Now, notice for PowerShell, the public port and the private port are the same. For remote desktop, I've got a different public port than the internal private port. Now, I can add additional endpoints. If I just click Add, I can add a standalone endpoint or an endpoint to an existing load balance set, but I don't have a load balance set, so we're just going to add a standalone endpoint. And there's a couple things I can do. I can give it a name, or if I know, for example, it's going to be HTTP, I just select HTTP, and it sets this up. And by the way, you can set this up as a load balance set and add additional ones to it later. And you can also enable direct server return, which is beyond the scope of what we're going to deal with here. All right, but in any case, there we go. Easy enough. So I've now got this HTTP endpoint, and it is being added. Now you'll also notice, well, I can't do anything at the moment. I'm going to pause that while it's adding, and then we'll take a look at how we can manage the ACL. Okay, so the endpoint has now been added, so I could now get to the port 80 on this particular virtual machine directly. And then the only other thing I need to do is if I want to change the ACL, I can click on the specific port and hit Manage ACL. And it's going to give me, for example, let's say description, and I could say intranet, and action is going to be permit, and the remote subnet would be whatever that remote subnet should be, 123.45.67.8978, whatever, which is not valid. Oh, let's go 123.45. Let's do this right. 0.0/16. There we go. That would be a proper remote subnet, and then I can permit it. So that's going to allow access for that, and then I could, for example, let's say rival, so some rival company can't get in there, and deny them their 321.54.0.0/16. Take that. Oh, well, you can't actually have 321. There we go. This is what happens when you don't really plan things too terribly well. There we go. All right, so that's just a different one. All right, and so now I've got an ACL on that for that specific endpoint, and then I set the ACLs on the individual endpoints. I think the version 2 / ARM model with public IP addresses and network security groups is a little more flexible and actually a little bit easier to manage, but this does give you the ability at the port level, really, because that's really what an endpoint is. It's just a port. At the port level, you do have the ability to control access to that specific port.
Remember that endpoints and ACLs are Azure Service Management Model or version 1 or classic operations, and they've been superseded in the ARM, the Azure Resource Model, Management Model, with network security groups and public IP addresses. So concepts are a little bit similar. I think it's a little more advanced, a little more configurable in the ARM model.